Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I went to a seminar last night at the Parliament buildings in Edinburgh regarding. They have these seminars every 3, 4 months uh, regarding different topics in Scottish culture. And last night it was about filmmaking in Scotland. And representing the panel was Creative Scotland, um, Scottish Enterprise. I can't remember the other two, and two filmmakers. Now, for me, as you all know, if you've seen one of my posts before, uh, there's a problem in Scotland with filmmaking, a huge problem. And they were there to represent the filmmaking elite. And all they did was spew out positivities. This is the panel. They spewed out positivities. Now, you've got to understand there was a circle of seats where the panel was with microphones, and there was us sitting in the sort of a gallery watching them, where at the end there was going to be allowed a discussion period with the panel. And we sat there listening to what was getting spewed to us about positivities and figures and percentages of how things are rising, especially from Scottish Enterprise. And then Creative Scotland, Natalie Usher, who spoke for Creative Scotland, she couldn't look at the gallery once, not once in the eye, did she look at the gallery. Um, she had a face like fizz and started to spew out these things about Creative Scotland, what they're doing, and admitted there was only £4 million out of, I think, 81 million that were given to by the government to Creative Scotland. Only about 4 million was put into Scottish Screen. Now that's filmmaking and television, and as I said, screen. I think also um, sort of a computer games, etc. Now that's not a lot of money in filmmaking terms compared to what gets spent in the rest of Europe, or what gets given out as funding in the rest of Europe and the world. Now, after they finished speaking, someone spoke up regarding the guy from Creative Scotland, and he was shocked that the person spoke to him. And he says, "I'm not here to divulge that." And the person said, "But this is an open discussion." And he was shocked. He could not answer her. He was shocked by it. Now, he should have known it was an open discussion at the end because it was well documented and marketed that this was going to be an open discussion at the end. So he was a bit shocked. And I reckon the panel itself all have had funding from Creative Scotland. Therefore, when they spoke, they all spoke positively about Creative Scotland. Whereas 99.9% of the gallery watching it had a totally, totally different view on it and were sitting there with bated breath. Now, I have to just get something. Now, I've just got the paper from me. Now, one of the speakers was a Gillian Berry, a producer of Sigma Films. Now, her speech via the panel was, I think, very, very good. She was so realistic about the situation that Scotland is in via its filmmaking industry. Very realistic that it has a major problem and we're behind the rest of the world. So she was a great speaker. I don't think she got funding from Creative Scotland by the way she spoke. I'd be very surprised if she did, but I think the rest of the panel, including the two filmmakers, whose films were well made but not brilliant. You know, there is better out there. There is far better out there. I've seen it from our independent and grassroots level filmmakers who make films without budgets. There are better films out there that could have been shown that night. But typical Creative Scotland, if they were the ones that brought these people on board to show the films, typical Creative Scotland in the sense that they don't have people on the grassroots level, going out and seeing what films are getting made out there and networking and getting to know the individuals out there making films on zero budgets, great films which could have been shown. But these films have not been funded by Creative Scotland, hence weren't shown. Anyway, I was there with Mark McNichol, a fantastic playwright who's written books, written plays, written films, is in the process of writing a film, actually. Very excited about it. I was there also with the fantastic Libby MacArthur, 11 years in River City as Gina, and somebody I met for the first time who was a fantastic guy and a good speaker when he got up and spoke was Adam Robertson. Now, there was about 40 people there in the gallery, and only about 6 people spoke, and 4 of us came from the same car that arrived there, and that was myself, Libby, Mark, and Adam, who got up to speak. Each one of them was fantastic in what they said, except I think for myself, I felt a wee bit, my subject matter was a bit out of depth. I'll tell you about that in a little while. But the Creative Scotland and Natalie Usher, as I said to you earlier, she wouldn't look us in the eye, the gallery in the eye at any time, and her face was like fizz, and we could hardly hear her. So when she finished, the gallery had the chance to speak, and there was one woman there that said that 90% and 95% of the gallery was there to talk about the new studio space in Scotland that is proposed to be built outside Edinburgh. And it so happened there was a gentleman there who is trying to fund his own studio space outside Glasgow. And she knew why he was there and sort of appointed him and put him in the spot. And this gentleman sort of came out and spoke about how he was proposing to build studios outside Glasgow, costing, I think it was 60 million, I think it was mentioned. And most of the people there I found very elitist and talking about the big time, the big money in filmmaking, etc. As in Creative Scotland, Natalie said about Creative Scotland, the 2 people sitting to her right hand side, that they put 80,000 into one of the projects, 90,000 into the other. Now, this is where I was out my depth, because I was there going to be speaking about something like £5,000 or £10,000 funding. A puddle compared to the big pond they're talking about, the sea that they're talking about money wise. Because one gentleman was there talking about how he had £50,000 funded personally for a film. He was sitting at the front, and I thought, well, 50,000, that's great. If we could get that to organise our Film Industry Scotland, that'd be fantastic. But I spoke, and mine was more of a pitch towards grassroots and independent filmmakers, how they're not represented in Scotland, and how they struggle when they leave the colleges, universities, struggle to get funding, to get representation, and to get aid. They just don't know where to turn. Because I don't think Creative Scotland really opened their doors to them, to talk to them, and they are scared, these people, to fill in the forms for Creative Scotland for funding, because they've heard so many horror stories, and they don't want to get dissed. Excuse me. Rejection. They don't want rejection. They don't want that feeling which they feel they'll get from Creative Scotland. Now, Creative Scotland, Natalie Usher said there are 12 people working on the screen side, film side of Creative Scotland. 12 people. Now, I forgot to ask the question, what do those 12 people do? I would love to have asked that question. I didn't. I was upset with myself when I left the building that I didn't ask that question. What do these 12 people do? Now, I think a couple of them should be out there getting to know who's making films, getting to know who are the people creating fantastic work zero budgets, etc. Now, I want to say, I'm going to pitch again. I don't want to, with us, with Film Industry Scotland, we want to try and create funding through corporate funding to do award schemes to fund these people so that it will be put in place that they pay their cast and crew, so it trickles down the line within the industry, the money. But anyway, I digress. Last night, so Mark got up to speak first. Fantastic. Put it straight to the point about himself and about his situation. No reply from the panel. Then I spoke, and as I said, mine was more of a pitch. But anyway, no reply from the panel. Adam got up and spoke. He got a reply from the panel, but from Gillian. And it was a discussion about countries like Denmark, etc. They've got the same population, 5 million or so, and how they have a more successful film industry than what we do. And not only Denmark, I think he mentioned other countries as well. Obviously about the same size as Scotland. And he was very good. But then Libby got up and spoke. Now, Libby put it straight to the point. She said, this is all bullshit. I mean, the figures that we've been fed here about how it's plus points, etc., for film industry Scotland, for the film industry in Scotland, etc., is all a load of crap. We are struggling. Why are we in this situation? We shouldn't be, but why are we, etc., etc., etc.? We've been fed a whole load of bull. And she got a round of applause from the whole gallery. But again, no reply from the panel. Yes. So, just to surmise on this, at the end of it, I went round to Natalie Usher from Creative Scotland to ask her just for a card. That's all. Now, usually at the end of these, the panel, they hold on a wee bit. People go and personally speak to them, etc. But not Natalie Usher. No. She was having her jacket on straight away and all that. Robin says, could I have a card? Her first words to me was, do you know I've got a babysitter? Now, no, first of all, I don't know you've got a babysitter. I don't know you. And all I'm asking for is a card. She sort of a tutty, put her bags down, went into her purse, pulled out a card and shoved it in my hand. Put a jacket on, then buggered off. Now, Creative Scotland have a reputation, and people like her is one of the reasons why they have a reputation. Maybe she does have a babysitter, etc. Then, if she does, she should not be put in the position to go to events like this and host them. If she has to rush away straight away and not speak to people and treat them the way she's treated me with her words. So, anyway, there's a lot of other things I can say. I'm not going to say too much more. I think I've said well enough for the moment on what happened last night. I'm trying to think quickly if there was anything else. As I say, 99% of the people there in the gallery were there to find out about studio space in Scotland. Where they're going to open, when they're going to open up, etc. I just felt a wee bit, I wouldn't say out of my depth, because I know Gina and Christina are trying to do via Film Industry Scotland and concentrate more on the grassroots level and independent filmmakers level, and create funding for them to send their films to festivals all over the world, etc., and get a name in Scotland for being filmmakers. But I didn't get listened to really that much, and I will be calling Natalie Usher and speaking to her personally on the matter. I'll end it there. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. Bye bye.